KKR, the Kolkata Knight Riders, name Ajinkya Rahane as their captain. Let's start there. What do you think of that selection?
I said, wrap it up, we're done. For a T20 game, for a T20 tournament, are you kidding me? You let go of Shreyas Iyer, your last winning captain from last year, and then you also don't have your winning coach from last year. Interesting sort of turn of events for Kolkata Knight Riders. But obviously, if you look through the squad, some very familiar faces, which we'll talk about throughout this pod. But no, I think it's an interesting setup for KKR this year. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's super interesting setup for KKR, and to your point, like I would have not expected Ajinkya Rahane to captain a T20 side, let alone in the IPL. Like I would have thought there was other options, and I'm looking at the squad here. Uh, Quinton de Kock was probably an option, um, and then maybe you have someone like well, that's it. Maybe that's why
No, you
there's
have that.
nobody else.
No, but why can't you also give it maybe perhaps Andre Russell?
I don't know. I don't know. Andre Russell's never really captained any team. Like
That's
he
fair
doesn't have a
enough,
lot of
but
experience, right? Like you
no,
need
he doesn't.
someone who has, yeah, you need someone who has captaincy. I mean, you could argue Sunil Narayan. I'm pretty sure he's captained teams in the past, right? There's an option there. There was talk about Venkatesh Iyer, but I guess he's not ready.
Oh, that's a big take, but no, it is interesting, and obviously, don't get me wrong, Ajinkya Rahane has surprised a lot of people through his captaincy. We've seen him do that for Mumbai in the Ranji Trophy. We've also seen him do that for India in Australia a few years back. But in T20 cricket, I think it's a different story. But hey, we'll be here to see if he proves us wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he did have a change in who he is as a batter when he played for Chennai that one season where it was a Rahane that we've never seen before. So maybe we see that Rahane again. Who knows? He doesn't really play a lot of cricket now, so maybe he's had time to focus on his game, and maybe we see something that we've never seen before from Rahane.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be an interesting setup. So let's see how the season plays off.
Yeah, so how do you see this squad as a whole? Let's look at it as a whole. So, looking at the batting unit, there's a few players that stick out to me. Obviously, Rahane, we talked about. QDK, he's definitely going to play. I think he's walking into that
Yep.
11. And then you have Roman Powell too. But here's where it gets interesting because Ramanullah Garbaz is
Uh
been
huh.
really good at the top too. So it's interesting if they're going to play how many foreign players or which of the foreign players do they choose, because there's also Sunil Narayan, the stalwart Narayan, Andre Russell, there's Moeen Ali, right? And you can only play four foreign players. So it'll be interesting to see how they put their combinations together.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be interesting. And as you mentioned, they do have some limitations up front. I think perhaps, and then I think this could be a very dynamic duo, opening up with Quinton de Kock and Sunil Narayan. But if you look at the
Ooh,
squad, it is interesting. To your point, Gurbaz plays really well. You also have a few Indian talents. You have Ramandeep Singh. You have
Rinku
Angrish,
Singh.
Rinku Singh, and you have the other young player Raghuvanshi as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's an exciting squad. Don't get me wrong. And then I know we didn't even talk about the bowlers yet, but from a batting and sort of slash all rounder perspective, they have some big hitting capabilities. But I'm gonna say this: if Ryan is captain, he has to bat. And is he able to bat at the level that is currently modern day cricket in T20? I'm not sure. To your point, in Chennai, we saw slashes of that. So I think his role in the squad will be very important for the overall success of the team.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I feel like he may be the glue in the middle. Maybe he bats one down or number four and he plays that role depending on how the team is playing. He will probably adjust, maybe play drop anchor, or maybe he'll hit from ball one, depending on the situation. And I feel like he's experienced enough to know how to play. But yeah, it's going to be interesting how they put that batting lineup together, given the different combinations that they could put out when, at least from a batting and all rounder standpoint. So looking at the bowlers, lots to choose from. a lot of
Ah,
fast bowlers in there, and names that stick out to me: Harshit Rana, who's had a breakout season in the last year or so. He's got his India cap in almost, is it all formats? Yeah, he's played all formats for India now.
yeah.
And Spencer Johnson, for him, breakout season for him. He's played a white ball for Australia. Not tests yet, but he's been in the squad, in and around the squad. He's gonna be key for them this season with the ball, especially with Anrik Norkia not really knowing about his fitness. So that's
Hmm.
where Spencer Johnson can play that Mitchell Stark role that he had played
Yeah.
successfully for KKR last season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then, we didn't even talk about the spinners as well. You have
Yeah,
Varun Chakravarti, what a breakout season for him as well. And then you also have, as you mentioned, some of the all rounders who could pitch in as well as Sunil Narayan with the ball. And then, you do have
Andre Russell,
us,
Dre Russ.
Andre Russell as well. And you know how successful he is with his experience. So no, I think a lot of bowling options to choose from, and especially if they do play some of the all rounders as well. You can have that options to really mix it up in there for KKR.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't see any glaring weaknesses other than the fact that their captain is seems like a choice from a lack of options,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I think we've talked enough about him, but that's the glaring weakness that I see. It's actually the leader of the team.
Yeah, no, I see that as well. I think another potential weakness is if Andre Nokia is not the fittest, then where are you going to get a lot of those fast overs from, right? And so you have Harshit Rana, and I know you said you have options there, but you have quality options because I do see the spinners actually kicking are being a little bit better than the overall fast bowlers. So, I think in addition to what you mentioned, and we've all, we spent at length talking about Jinky Rahane, I could see potential issues with, fitness within the squad. So, we'll see it is. Hopefully everyone's healthy. And then if someone's healthy, I think it's going to be a great squad. But I think there are some potential holes that could open up because it is a long season.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a long season. So, who's your key player for KKR? I'll start with mine. So, for me, my key player for KKR is going to be Varun Chakravarti. I think
Mm-hmm.
the way he's been playing, the way he's been bowling in the last few months for India, he's been unplayable. And I think, as they like to talk about in T20 with matchups, I think against certain teams with certain players, he's going to be the X factor bowler for Rahane to call upon whenever he needs a wicket. And I think his performance is going to be key to how far KKR go for sure.
No, that's a great shout there. And I think, we've seen how important he is for Team India. Whenever Rohit Sharma needed a wicket, he really stood up and was able to get it. So I think that's a great shout. I think for me, I was definitely thinking about Varun Chakravarti, but for me, key player for KKR this year for with bat and ball, Sunil Narayan. I think if
Okay.
they look at him to open up, I think he's going to be a very very key part of that batting squad lineup. And we've seen him as well. I think one day shifted him to opening. He played tremendous cricket. If it was his day, he was hitting it out of the park. And so, no, I think that'll be interesting. And I know from a bowling perspective as well, that's sort of the trajectory hasn't been as positive as I would say a lot of KKR fans want it to be. But I think for this team to really click and do extremely well, if Sunil or Ryan shows up to this tournament, he could be a match winner in every game.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned his name because he's my underrated player. I think he's gone under the
Aha.
radar in the last few seasons.
Yeah.
Teams sort of know how to play him now. He usually goes fairly quiet through games, doesn't pick up heaps of wickets anymore. Actually, rarely does. It happens, but it's rare than it used to be. And he's just one of those players now where he has done so much for the game that his performances sometimes go unnoticed, and I feel like he's definitely underrated in from that vantage.
No, I see that perspective as well, and I think he obviously doesn't get enough flowers as he should get. Maybe potentially because we don't see him too much in international cricket. But I see your point there. For me, so I took a look like a different sort of perspective on underrated player. I looked at a player that there is some talk about during the IPL season, but people tend to forget about him quite often when the season ends. Venkatesh Iyer. I think he's a great
Okay.
player, and we've seen him have incredible knocks with the bat, and there's always discussions of him coming up with Gaikwad and into the like what I mean is into the international scene, but not really doing that as most fans want him to be. But I think he's an underrated player for KKR, and I think if he really takes this team, you know, um, I would say like as a captain implicitly by his performances, by his knocks, you could see him as a potential captain for KKR in the future from the long run, which is what they're kind of missing right now, as we mentioned. So maybe if he matures from the bat, and I guess from the way he plays, he could really be a full on explosive weapon for KKR.
I like it. I like it. So how far do you see KKR going this season?
I'll keep it short for you. They don't have the winning captain from last year. They don't have the winning bowler from last year. Let's be real, Mitchell Stark won them that championship. And they don't have the winning coach from last year. Sorry to say it, but KKR is not in the top four for me.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I feel like KKR is going to be a middling team this year. They're probably going to finish maybe sixth, seventh, in the middle of the table, somewhere there. I feel like they made a mistake not retaining Shreyas Iyer. Like, how do you not retain your winning captain? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. But let's see how they go. That's our take on KKR.